Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Lauren. How are you today?
I'm doing good, Lori. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Now, is it almost time for the kids to go back to school?
Next week.
Does anybody else detect a little bit of a smile on Lauren's face when she says next week? I kind of do. I think there was something a little, it wasn't just next week. It had a little bit more to it, but I'm sure many of our viewers are going to have that same smile. So I have, as we are having the people sign on, I have a picture to share. Oh, there's our lovely Emma. Good morning. Emma, I'm telling you,
Oh,
you can't go on
2 weeks.
vacation. When Emma's not on our show, don't you feel like we're missing something? I mean, it's just not right. So, okay, so everybody knows my cat stories, and everybody's gotten where they love the cat stories. So I have the cat story I promised from last week. Let's see if this works. So Babu got to meet, can you see this? The bird gang. I know, the bird gang. So I took her over to this petting zoo area, right? And she gets attacked immediately by the entire bird gang. There's only a portion of them that you see here, right? But the peacocks had a definite special interest in her, and they were like attacking peacocks, right? And so I don't know if here it is. Here's the picture. Let's see if I can share this one. Let me see, share. Are you seeing this? I don't know if I clicked it right. Let's see, share screen. Here we go. Let's get this one. Here we go. We got it now. So if the peacocks ever stare you down, what you do is you stare them back down. Okay. She was like holding her own. They got all the way up to her nose and she was not flinching. So she was like, hey, I can outstare you. Don't even try. You're ganging up on me. So this is the picture I have in the mind when I have a day where I feel like, it's one of those hard days, you're being attacked. I'm like, I'm staring the peacocks in the eye and I'm holding my position. So this, guys, is to everybody in the audience for you to have a visual. If you have a hard day, you're in a vendor discussion, you're, in any of these negotiations, I'm giving you strength. You just stare the peacocks in the eye and hold your own. So there you go. That's my entertainment while we got started this morning.
That's amazing. It's so funny that the birds did not phase her at all.
No,
Like, no
nothing does.
fear.
No.
That's
Yesterday we
awesome.
went over and we saw the birds, the pigs, the rabbits, everything. She does it. There was this one time, because I take her out to all these petting zoos. This one time, a horse had its head over the fence, right? So I thought, okay, I'm going to take Babu up to see the horse. So the horse went down to her screen and was like smelling her, and she's smelling the horse, right? And I'm like going, isn't this cute? Well, then the horse grabs the top of the stroller and starts picking it up off the ground. I'm like trying to get the stroller back from the horse. So the next time when we were up next to the elk, we were near the elk, she looked at me like, Mom, I don't think this is a good idea. Remember the horse incident? Just too funny. Okay, Lauren, I think we're ready for you to take it over. We got the people signed in, and hello to the frequent flyers. I saw a bunch of chats there about it. So hello to everybody. But Lauren, let me pass this on to you.
All righty, here we go. Oh, Kitty says she loves the cat stories. So do I. I look forward to them every Wednesday morning for sure. I'm going to take a couple of seconds to share my screen really quickly. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Thank you again for joining us. Just a quick reminder, my name is Lauren Simpson, and I'm with the SBDC, or the Small Business Development Center. We're a national program with over 1,000 locations throughout the country, and we offer no-cost services for local small businesses. And they're at no cost to you because your tax dollars have already taken care of our fees. So of course you should partake in free resources. For the Los Angeles network, which is the network that I represent, we have locations throughout the Los Angeles, Santa Barbara, and Ventura counties. So if you're within any of those counties, please be sure to reach out to us. And you can see those offices that we have, or centers, excuse me, represented on the map in front of you. Here's a deeper dive into what it is that we do, and we offer no cost business advising. And so you're able to sit one-on-one via Zoom for now with business experts that have expertise in various subjects. And so you're able to meet with our very own guru of all numbers, Lori Williams. You're also able to meet with experts in marketing, in business planning, in licensing and permitting, you name it, we've got it. And then we also offer virtual workshops, much like the workshop you have joined today. And so, as you can see on the screen in front of you, you can be sure to get in contact with us today. We're here to help you. We're here today, tomorrow, and evermore.
The evermore part.
Evermore. And so you can see that phone number in front of you right now on the screen. We also, if you'd like to reach us by phone, but you can also reach us online via the smallbizla.org account. Now, if you've joined us outside of the Los Angeles area, or I should say the Los Angeles, Ventura, or Santa Barbara County areas, then you are able to go to americassbdc.org/find your SBDC. And then they'll be able to get you in contact with a local center. And so with that, I'm going to quickly stop my screen share. For those of you who are new, welcome. Please be sure to put all questions into the Q&A. Again, questions into the Q&A. The chat's going to be reserved for any kind of contact information or insight we'd like to share with you via the chat, of course. And then for those of you who are our frequent flyers, welcome again. Thank you for joining us. You guys are the ones who are making this, show continue and just keeping us on our toes and suggesting really great topics and, just laughing along with us along the way as we learn all of the amazing content Lori has prepared for us. So again, thank you to you and good morning, everyone. And Lori, back to you.
Awesome. And please, do share with friends and have them sign up. They do not have to sign up for the SBDC to watch the show. Lauren will put the link in again. You can just send it to a friend and have them sign up outside of the California area, what have you, more the merrier. So what I want to do is I want to go over just some upcoming shows and a couple different things. So first, a highlight, I didn't have my dates set for this show, but I wanted to make an announcement that I'm going to have next week the dates for the sales tax webinar as well as my financial literacy webinars. And a cool thing, I'm adding a third class to my financial literacy 101 classes. I had my beginning class, then I had the next one, and I realized it kind of went to a little bit of an advanced level. So I'm putting in a middle class and I'll start offering those again. So they're going to be coming up. I'll make an announcement next week so you know exactly when those will be scheduled. Now we got some real exciting shows coming up. I've got a long time lineup now. It's awesome. So next week we've got Kelly, and she's in the entertainment industry. And the entertainment industry has always been to me one of these industries where there's a lot of opportunities, but it's a lot of question of how do I get in it, what's the ins and outs, the pros, the cons, what's involved in it. Kaylee's going to tell us all about her company and how she's been involved in the industry for some time. And then you might have remembered when we had Nate on. Nate is an SBDC advisor. He's also the director of the Access to Capital team. He came on and we talked all about funding and lending. It was a great show, got wonderful reviews on it. I've asked Nate to come back on. We're going to talk about all kinds of things, finance and funding, but we're going to talk about what you need to do to prepare documents if you're going to go for funding. What type of documents do you need? In other words, what are banks and other lenders looking for? So that's going to be our conversation. Then after that, we got our famous Deborah coming back on, the goddess of social media. But we're going to have an interesting show, interesting for me because it's not a topic that I have spoke on in many years, but Deborah picked up that I'm an NLP practitioner, which she picked that out of my biography, and so is she. So we're going to have a discussion on the mindset for successful business. My reason for wanting to have this topic is so many of you in the audience talk about the trials and tribulations, mentally keeping yourself going, emotionally dealing for the stress, and etc. And I just wanted to address this important topic. So many of our guests do. They give you inspiration as you hear from their stories and how they stayed with it, their persistentness. It gives you inspiration. But this one, we're going to just talk about what you need to do and what you can do to stay positive. Then on September 21st, we've got Christine Thompson coming on. She's a partner of JAC Interiors, and I started working with her company a long time ago, and she's going to talk about all that she's learned about understanding her financials, because she's been utilizing some of the spreadsheets that I created for them for quite some time now, and she's going to talk about how it actually changed the management of her company and what she learned throughout that process. Just like Brandy was talking about last week about the things that she's learning now. Now, today, we have a very exciting show. In 2011, LaRuth started White Diamond Funeral Services. And over the years, she's made many adjustments to improve her internal operations. And she also took advantage of a lot of new opportunities. I first met LaRuth, and I bet it's been way over 10 years ago, but I know it's been at least 10 years ago. And I was a representative for the SBDC at the Beverly Hills Chamber when I first met her. So guys that know me, that was when I was actually living in LA and doing the whole LA thing. But when I met LaRuth, I was immediately intrigued by her story. And I was real impressed with how she had structured her company. As she first said funeral services, I was like, well, okay, what does that mean exactly? And then I was looking at her financials. I was like, wow, she's profitable. I tell you, a lot of the companies are not profitable. And I was like, she's profitable. She's doing amazing things here. And so I had kept in touch through the SBDC with LaRuth over the years. And I've just saw her continue to make good decisions and adjust to different situations. And I said, LaRuth, you have got to come on the show, because you are a true representative of the entrepreneurial spirit. And I knew that she could share so many experiences on so many different levels. So finally, I got in touch with LaRuth. She agreed. She's here today. LaRuth, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
It is so good to see you. It is so good to see you and have you on the show. This is like a great reunion for me. Okay, so what you've got to do is I know the background of how you even got to the stage of starting a funeral service company, but you didn't wake up one day and say, hey, I'm going to start a funeral service company, did you? There was
That's not something you really most times inherited by, a generational thing, but I started it on my own. I started off with, first I want to thank you for allowing me to come onto your show and share the story. I started off in the insurance business. I was selling mortgage protection insurance to families. I would go around to the homes and protect their homes in the event of a passing. It will pay their mortgage off. And so a lot of people that we were signing up was interested in burial policies, cemetery property. So I said, well, okay, let me see about cemetery property. So I went to Inglewood Park Cemetery and inquired about their services, and they hired me. And so I started selling cemetery property, and I did that for about maybe 3 or 4 years. And so by selling cemetery property, a lot of people that I would see wanted to know about cremation, because cremation was so much more affordable than a burial. Burial is like 4 or 5 times the amount of cremation. So I ventured off and I went to Neptune Society and inquired about their services and started working there. I worked at Neptune Society for about 7 years, selling pre-need insurance for cremation. And so from there, I said, well, I have so many years of experience in the funeral industry. Why don't I go out and get my license and do it for myself? So I found ways that I can perfect the business as far as the customer service was concerned. I could offer a lower price because my overhead wasn't as big as the larger companies. And so I opened up White Diamond Funeral. I got my funeral director's license, and I opened up White Diamond Funeral Services.
Yeah, I love your story, even from this perspective on so many levels. You know, one of the things I talk about a lot for especially our new entrepreneurs, I'm not saying to put off, starting a company, because a lot of people are like, they want to start a company, but there is such great value in spending time working in other companies and getting a background. And what you did is you were like, well, let's see, here's an opportunity. Let me learn about this. Here's an opportunity. Let me learn about this. And it's that old marketing statement about whether you're actually creating something and going out into the market and finding the need, or seeing the need and then creating it because of the need. And of course, if you're creating something because of the need, that helps on so many levels. So I think there is a ton of wisdom in what you already spoke on that level. But another little nugget that I want to expand upon is, you mentioned you could start your own and you wouldn't have all the overhead that the other companies had. Me being the financial person, that's what I saw as really, LaRuth, and I'm not exaggerating, at the time, I still remember it. I saw it as sheer brilliance, because I could see how what you were doing made so much sense and immediately gave you an advantage. And it also, to me, and you can extrapolate and tell me if you sense this too, I felt as though your personality and your lovely smile it brings such comfort. It allowed you to really be not only selling the services, but be selling yourself as a provider of comfort during the time of having to buy these services as well. So talk to us about how you structured the company, and then the part you play as the interface with your customers.
Okay, so first of all, one of the most important things that I value in this lifelong adventure that I went through, all the years of working for the different companies, is that most people don't want to put the time in to work for somebody else, but it's a bridge. And if you can get over that bridge and be satisfied with the bridge, then it'll lead you to the next venture, instead of just going right in and trying to open up something and you don't know enough about it. I was able to get groomed on how to do the pre-need, and really pre-need is the foundation of my business, because death happens, like right now, but pre-need is future business. That's future business that will come to me, generations down the road. And that's what the companies that I work for prepared me for, was to sell pre-need insurance, and not knowing that I was going to be doing at need, because that's what I do now, is when people pass away, it's the service is needed right now. But I got that bridge of the pre-need. So yeah, so that was kind of good. What was the question again? I'm sorry. I just wanted to.
You know what I think, and I'll repeat it, but I think that's so fascinating. Pre-need and at need. Your pre-need is what I long for in companies. Annuity business. It's always coming back. And you've got annuity business between that. But then tell us about how you structured it. So you got this background, you experienced it. You did not run out and buy a building and come out. You did not match your competitors in their overhead. You did a brilliant way of structuring it. Let's focus on that for a bit. How did you structure this company?
Oh, I didn't, because I don't come from inheritance of a mortuary, a brick and mortar. I went out and I have like a virtual office. So I set my stuff up so that I can be able to work that. I work with other mortuaries where they do the embalming and the cremation portion of it. So I don't have that large overhead of the big brick and mortar. I'm like the middleman that pull everything together. And so that's kind of how I structured it, so that I can be able to go out and service families and provide an exceptional service without trying to struggle to hold on to a building,
Yeah, and that's what I think is so fascinating to me, because when we think about offering services and a business model that isn't laden with a lot of debt and heavy overhead, we normally don't think about it beyond somebody just speaking or offering their advice or doing a few things. But you've got a lot of can I just say, in my way of explaining it, steps in the process I remember, and you can elaborate on this to help fill in the blanks for me, but you've got to go from getting the body to preparing it to the cremation. There's people that I call them runners, but there were people that had to, take certain steps and everything. So you have a heavy amount of processes, is what I'm saying, that must be overseen. And there's two subjects that I like our viewers to understand, and that is the importance of having very set processes that you follow, because you can't offer good service without having something internally that keeps you and anybody else engaged with you on the processes. So let's talk about just the complexity of what you're doing to manage the whole system and how you manage to make it flawless and seamless for your customers.
Well, I'm responsible. I am responsible for whatever happens. So when I choose a partner to work with, it has to be somebody that's reputable, that I know that's going to do a good work, that's representing White Diamond Funeral Services. So when I go out and when I get my driver, when I get our crematory, it has to be people that's been in business, that's going to represent me in a professional manner, because ultimately I'm responsible for the whole thing. So that's how I choose my my partners, is the reputation of their business. And you have to live up to very high standards with the funeral and bureau, cemetery and bureau business association, and they don't let you have to be very high standards. So that's when I work with partners that I know that's going to do an exceptional job. And if not, I'm responsible. So I make sure my name is impeccable to who I connect with.
See, what you just said is beautiful. And Lauren, if we could capture in the chat, I don't know if I got the exact words, but you said that you have to work with companies that are in business and have a high reputation of giving excellent service. And see, what I find, LaRuth, is so many people, when they look for the partners, they don't hold those high standards. They go, well, I've got a friend and a friend who did it, and they've got to, they go down this route all the time. And I don't know exactly why. I think some people just don't have a comfort that they can go to a higher, company to partner with, or some of them think it saves them money. But the gem that you also said, and Lauren, please capture this in the chat, that you are ultimately responsible for the outcome, and impeccable service to give means that you have to have high top-notch partners for you to rely on. And that is one of the huge things that I wanted to get out during this session. I think it's so interesting. So LaRuth, as a learning, I have to believe, and maybe this isn't so, but you tell me, but over the period of time, you had to have situations where partners didn't work out or something didn't go well. How did you deal, or what can you give advice with to our audience of, it's an uncomfortable situation that entrepreneurs find themselves in when they have to say to a partner, this isn't working, or I need you to do this, or we need to do better. And I got to believe you've had to been involved in those kind of conversations. Take it away. Give us insight, advice, knowledge, anything to dealing and negotiating and handling partnership relationships that are good and bad.
Well, I've been blessed for the 11 years that I've been in business, that I haven't had anyone make a mistake and I was responsible, because I'm very particular about who I choose. So I've been blessed on that end, but I kind of judge people on how they treat other people. If they're sloppy with their work, or they've made mistakes with other people, I recognize that and I get away. I don't stick around to be the next victim of their, sloppy behavior or integrity things. If I see something that's not right, I don't let it drag out. I get out of there. So if I see something with, another company that's not doing something and I'm associated with them, I don't have anything to do with it. I leave. So I've been blessed, and I have not had to experience a bad situation and be involved with something that was unethical, because I don't associate with people of that nature. And if I see them being unethical with someone else, that's a cue to me that I'm next, and I don't sit around and wait to be a victim.
That is, oh my God, LaRuth, so beautiful. I love that. I don't wait to be a victim. And that is such great insight. I see this all the time. I hear it with client after client after client, where they say, well, the manufacturer's not coming through, the distributor's not been coming through, but we've been working with them for a long time and I want to give them a break. And I'm like, no, no, no. You have a responsibility to your customer.
That's a representation of you. You are the face. Therefore, if someone makes a mistake, the family or the person doesn't see behind the scene. So you have to make sure that you're represented at all time in a professional manner with integrity and character that will, that people deserve. They deserve to be treated fairly and their loved one to be respected with the utmost of respect. And therefore, that's what I'm there for, is to make sure that family is well protected and, their loved one is well protected so that nothing can ever go wrong. So I've been blessed and I just trust my gut instinct, my intuition always leads me in the right direction. If something doesn't feel right, it's not right. And get out, run.
Right. And I love that. It's a lot of times it's get outrun. People just they feel bad, they do this, they stick with it. So that's wonderful. Now, do you have any kind of internal documents or processes? It's got to be crazy sometimes with connecting all the different partners and if a lot's going on. What do you do internally for you personally to stay organized, or any organizational advice you can give to others? Because I see your company as well as a product of being completely organized into the steps, the processes, the names, the people. Just have to believe there's a lot of steps and a lot of data. Give us some thoughts on how you organize your structure of your company and yourself.
Well, delegation is the key. You can't do everything yourself. You have to have committed people that love what they do and have integrity behind them that will make sure things run perfectly. And I do my job and I can't do everything. So therefore I have staff that will step in and that has the same integrity and honesty and love for the business as I do. When I choose my staff, I make sure that I choose someone that they love what they do. They're just not doing it for the money. They're doing it because they want to treat people the way they want to be treated. So therefore, they're not going to do anything that ruins that reputation. So you have to delegate to people of the same integrity as you are. And that's how I make sure things stay organized, is a form of delegation. Can't
Perfect.
do it.
Yeah. I remember too, and I just thought about it as you were speaking, from the day I met you, you already had somebody doing your bookkeeping and accounting. Because I remember I, sat down with you and I said, do you have any financials? And you were like, hold on a second, and you managed to, you contacted whoever it was that was working on it, and I had financials immediately. So I remember another thing from the early days, you made sure you had the different disciplines that's needed, from the legal people to the accounting. You had everything in place, you structured it. I almost think, as I say it now, that probably was also enforced in you because you did work for big companies or bigger companies, what I'm saying, and you've got a feel for having things in place. You didn't just start off making it happen. Is that where you kind of got that behavior from?
Absolutely. That was the bridge that connected me to where I'm at now, is the organization of the larger companies is, it has to be, because it's, when you run a large company, you have to be organized. It's just, right. It's mandatory. And that was allowed me to be able to carry that organization into my business. And one of the other companies that we're partnered with is Science Care, which is whole body donation for medical research, education, and training. And they're one of the largest whole body donations companies, and the cremation is absolutely free, doesn't cost the family a dime. And they have very high standards as well as organization. And we've been partnered with them for ever since existence, the last 11 years. And so when families are financially challenged, or we've had Rockefeller families that want to donate their loved one for medical research as a part of giving back to society. And their organization skills is impeccable as well. And they have also rubbed off on us that we have to keep everything organized in order to even be partnered with them because of their high standards of donating the body. So with that, in addition to what I've come from in my past, that has allowed me to have exceptional organization skills.
Just more on just as me talking to you as far as if I was a client, because it makes me want to ask this question, because I bet you some in the audience are wondering this. It sounds with what you're saying, it really has a great benefit and an importance in this pre-need, I think you called it. So do you find that when families come to you and work out some of these details, when nobody's sick, it gives them great relief? I'm asking from a client perspective. Tell us about that. What should we know?
Absolutely. A peace of mind is priceless. And death is not a thing of if, it's a thing of when. It's going to happen regardless to how we, dodge it out. We don't want to talk about it, don't want to deal with it, want to put the hot potato on someone else to deal with it. It's going to happen. So when you put affairs in order and give your wishes the way that you want it to be done, I find that a lot of families don't throw the money away and have this big extravagant funeral that maybe the loved one didn't even want. They wanted something simple. They would rather have the family put that money into generational wealth instead of giving it to a funeral home. And when they give instructions on what to do, then the loved ones 99.9 will follow their instructions. But when people don't have things in order and you have to figure out, well, what do you think? What do you think? You're on a guilt ride.
Yeah.
So you want to go and do this big extravagant because the person didn't leave any instructions and you feel guilty doing something that's economical, where if they would have given you instructions, all you had to do was follow their instructions. This is who you call, this is what you do, and don't spend any money. Everything's taken care of. So the families that initiate that process is the ones that is easy. But the ones that don't leave any instruction, the family just the families are fighting. You got children that want this, and the relatives that haven't been around in many years come up and they want this, and it's just a nightmare. So we try to encourage our families to get things in order so that it's already something that's a transition that's not normal. People don't deal with death every day. And so if you put it in order, then it makes it a smooth transition than opposed to the loved one trying to figure it out.
Yeah, I would assume that making decisions of that nature, especially with a financial component, it does have a financial component when you're in such a high emotional state, just doesn't set up for the best scenarios. I can totally see what you're saying. Well, you know what, as I was asking this, I realized probably another, service to my audience is ask those questions that they're probably not going to call somebody up today to ask about. So it works out well. So tell me, the cremation, I know a lot of people have different mixed emotions about it, but one of the things you've mentioned that I thought was interesting is how much less expensive. I know for me, I've already indicated that I'll be cremated. It's like, cut and dry for me. But I know many people are on the fence on that and are often more curious about the cremation. So why don't you tell us, from me, a client asking, and our audience asking, maybe the question is, what is it that we could know about cremation to help us understand that choice?
Well, cremation it's a personal choice. I see that most baby boomers are more so into simplicity. Our parents and grandparents were not really into the cremation because that wasn't popular back then. If your grandma, your great grandma, your great great grandma was buried, it's the traditional thing. But as time has went on, burial is much more expensive, and it's a lot harder when you go to a service and you see the loved one in the casket. When you close your eyes, that's what you visualize. That's your last vision that you have of that loved one, and that's kind of sticks with you. So it's a personal preference. Everyone's different, and so our goal is to give the family what they want. We don't try to encourage them to go with any way. It's what they want. So we give the two options, give the what's involved, and then we let the family or the loved one, because people do it in advance for themselves, and we let them choose what they want, and we support whatever decision that they decide to make.
I know a lot of people wonder with cremation, what do they do with their ashes and how complicated that is, because I know you just can't go and, spread them anywhere you want, if I can say it that way. So I know for myself looking into it, it has to be, there's services, there's different things, but I don't want to go over that. Well, tell us, if somebody says cremation and they go, well, what do we do with the ashes? What are our choices? What are the legal requirements we need to have consideration? Why don't we, and by the way, in the chat, we're getting a lot of responses. Your information is really helping them. So I want to make mention that. So I'm looking at the chat on the corner of my eye and I'm seeing, okay, people are understanding these questions they're wanting to know. So tell us about the steps for how they handle the ashes.
Well, the ashes can be disposed of in a couple of different ways. You can have scatter at sea, where the loved one can be scattered. The family can go on a nice big yacht and have a nice big party, a celebration, and scatter the remains at sea. The family can purchase a niche, which is like a trophy case at a local cemetery, and the remains can be placed inside of that niche. And the family can have a connection if they want to go every Mother's Day, Father's Day, holiday, they have a place to go and give celebration for that. And then a lot of people, the remains just go back with the loved one. The only downside of the remains going back in someone's home is that it becomes the hot potato. So when that person passes away, is the grandchildren, great-grandchildren, generations down, are they going to want, great-great-grandma's remains in their house? Everyone feels different. So it becomes like the hot potato. Somebody's going to get stuck with it, and what are they going to do with it? So, we just give families the choice. They either scatter at sea, take them to a cemetery and have them encased in one of the niches, or they can just take them home. And you'd be surprised if families have 3 and 4 set of remains from families that they just take them and put them in the closet, and mom dies and grandma dies and and they just have them and they're like, what are we going to do with these? We got to get rid of them. So but that's a personal choice. They can't tell anyone what to do. All you can do is give suggestions, and they kind of make their own chess move on what they decide to do.
Yeah, I never thought about that, but I can see this closet full of a bunch of them, and the house going up for sale and trying to figure out where to put them.
Exactly. And if you make that decision when you pass away, then you avoid that. You say, I scatter me at sea. You guys go out or take me to wherever, Hawaii, and and get a permit and scatter me. Whatever you do, you make that decision. But if you don't say anything, they feel guilty and they hold on to them, and then they pass away, and whoever gets them is like, okay, I don't remember her. What am I going to do with this? So
and you have to get a permit. You just can't go walk on any public land, and start dusting
Absolutely, you have to get a permit. The state has to know where those remains are and where they were scattered and whose possession they're in. You have to get that.
We have a question from the audience. Is it legal to scatter the ashes into the ocean?
Yes, you have to get a permit. It has to be so many yards out of the shore. You just can't go to the edge of the water and scatter. They have to be far out, at least so many yards out, scattered. So you have to go on a boat. You can't just walk up to the ocean and just drop them in. And you have to have a permission to do so.
Got it. See, this show, you never know what you're going to learn, guys. So you never know. So here was a question, and I'm going to word it the way they did. How were you able to get your partners to work with you, especially when White Diamond Funeral Services was new? And I get that question a lot. We're new. We're brand new. How do we get people to work with us? So I think that's a great question for you.
A lot of people don't. It's not easy. I think you have to be established. You have to show that you are reputable. Nobody wants to work with somebody that's just starting out. You know what you're getting. It's like, is that person has integrity? If this person's gonna, do the right thing, and we, we collaborate together, and then we go down if they go down. So you have to establish your name in the business. And I did just strictly cremation for many years, until I was established and gained relationships with people, and they saw that I was a reputable person and that I honored my families and I went over and above to make them happy. No, I mean, everybody wants to be connected with someone that has integrity, and that's what we have here.
You know, LaRuth, I was thinking as you were answering the question, I would assume that also how you approach them from the very beginning. In other words, if you approach them professional, you go about it with confidence. I've seen that some of the new companies that haven't been in a business background prior and some of the younger entrepreneurs that aren't as accustomed to writing more of a formal looking email and to approach with confidence, they tend to kind of approach with a email that doesn't look totally business-like, if I can just say that, and then they kind of approach with a presence that's, please work with me, please work with me. I don't have the confidence. So I would think that from the way you communicate and demonstrate through any written word or literatures, as well as speak, and your attitude and the way you go to the partner from the very beginning, whether you're established or just starting out, matters. Can you comment on that?
Absolutely. I mean, nobody wants to be connected with someone that's not is going to be a representation of them and they're not professional.
Yeah.
So I think the bridge of me having that expertise of the pre-need from the cemetery side to the to the pre-need cremation side to being able to go in front of families and explain what we offered and for them to trust me to sign up and to take care of their affairs had a lot to do with where I'm at right now. Because no one wants to do business with no one they don't feel comfortable with. And if you're not knowledgeable about what you're representing. And a lot of things you don't know. If you don't know, you have to be able to tell people, be honest. I don't know, but I can go get the answer. So, no one knows everything. So a lot of people don't know something and will make up something to make it look like they know, and people can read between where you're not being honest.
That is so true. And I know a lot of times, especially for new entrepreneurs, they're so afraid to say, I don't know. And I always tell them, I think that probably half of my consults are, I don't know, but let me find out, because I'm dealing with tax, I'm dealing with finance, especially tax laws change all the time. And I'm not an expert on all the tax laws. So I have to say, I don't know. And where I'm going at is the ability to know where to find the answer and creating the trust that you'll give them the correct answer. I think that's golden.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I would rather for someone to be honest with me and say they don't know and go seek counsel with wisdom from someone that does know. Yeah. And come back and tell me something that makes sense instead of just fluffing something and just saying something that they're not sure of. And like I say, people can read between the lines. Our intuition tells us if something is not true or not, and you will shy away.
It really does. And Teresa commented that, that's really good to admit to customers you don't know, that we need transparency in all business and hard to find now. And Teresa, I would say absolutely correct. And I just want to tell you, LaRuth, looking at the chat again, I think it was Tamara, if I'm not mistaken. I might have the wrong name because I'm scanning it, but asked about the necklaces, and Lauren already sent her to your website and gave her the link. And so you're making a sale right now without you really knowing. So I thought I would just bring you full circle on that.
We have a full jewelry catalog on our website.
I was watching that, and I was getting ready. I was getting ready to ask, and all of a sudden Lauren's on top of it. Yes, they do. She's got the website link. I mean, I gotta love Lauren. She just stays on top of every single thing. So LaRuth, over the years, 11 years, I can, even if I look at my own company, it's morphed so much, and I've morphed and I've changed. I looked at things differently. Age for, I was telling LaRuth off camera before we started, I haven't seen her in 10 years. She looks just like I saw her last. I've of age. She has it, but I know that 11 years have at least has gone by, even though you don't look it at all. But I know the amount of wisdom in that beautiful face is huge. What can you tell us in any, I'm going to leave it open, from things you changed to the structure to what you learned or how you're different? What's the 11-year-old LaRuth saying to the younger LaRuth going, man, I know this now?
Be patient.
Oh.
Be patient. Because everybody wants overnight success, but there's no such thing. You have to put in the work. You got to put in the work. You gotta stick with it. You can't get in it and think and the other thing is that it's not even about the money. With this business, it's not about the money. My prices are very affordable. We're in Beverly Hills, and it's not about making a lot of money. It's about being profitable, but more so, I get more joy out of my family smiling and saying thank you for comforting me during this transition that I didn't think I was going to be able to get through, than me even making the money. Every blue moon because I get a lot of energies, a lot of I get so many different people. And so, I might get one or two, I say, out of the whole 11 years, that's, was just pissed from the time that I even dealt with them. But, you have to learn how to be soft with people, be understanding with people, and just, understand where they're coming from, and it takes, sometimes I'm a little punching bag. People come in and you don't know what they went through with that person, what relationship they had. Maybe they wasn't there as they wanted to be, and they're looking for someone to take that out on. So you have to be very understanding, and your goal is to provide exceptional customer service. And that's my goal. It's not even about the money. It's about providing exceptional customer service. When they're happy, I'm happy.
This I thought of when I first met you, and I'm just reminded of it today as I'm watching you and hearing you speak. So often we meet people that you just know they're in the right business, they're in the right thing, they're doing the right thing at the right time because there's a fit, a just perfect fit. And every time I speak to you, you by nature, just your spirit is so comforting and so relaxing. You are absolutely in the right business, because if I was in an emotional, distressed situation and just lost a loved one and had to go to somebody, I mean, guys in the audience, you must be able to see this too. Who more would you want to sit down with them with LaRuth? I mean, it's just like you the minute I just am in your presence, I immediately feel calm. It's great. And I love the comment on patience. Lauren, I hope you got that there's no such thing as an overnight success. I tell people that all the time. You hear the rock band that they go, oh my God, you were overnight success, and they want to scream at you because of all the little dives that they had to play in that you weren't there to hear. And it does take patience. I mean, I look at that throughout my own life, all the patience that it had to take. But I don't even have to assume. I believe that probably a lot of your business at this point is referrals. And would that be true, LaRuth?
I'd say 95%. I use you 10 years ago. I used to just say, you did my uncle, my brother, my mother. And that to me warms my heart. That to know that they still remember, because I don't do a lot of, and I have to get better with that. I have to get better with, staying in contact with people, because my thing is to provide a good service. I'm not going to hound you. If you decide to go to one of the bigger guys, I'm a small fry. I'm not a real huge, collaborate, and it's not generational business. I started on my own. And so if you decide, because sometimes when you had to grandmother, grandfather, they've all used the same mortuary, you kind of have tradition to go. And I respect that. I have no problem with that. But a lot of times it's just like a meal, like, it's just come in and come out. But I go over and beyond to make sure that my families are happy and they remember that. And that to me is priceless. I seen a lady in the grocery store, and I did her aunt, and she remembered me and she hugged me. That's just like a warm feeling. It's like, even though it was during COVID, and it still was, just for her to see me, and she didn't even think twice. It was like, thank you so much. You made my life so much easier. And that right there is my greatest reward.
I mean, that's the thing when people say you made my life so much easier, you know that you're offering something that they're going to refer people to. And it is a matter of time. I hear people constantly talk about, well, getting referrals, and they'll say you must email, you must do this, you must do that, but they forget the part. You got to offer good customer service. You've got to be there.
Yeah, I don't, I have to get better. I'm going to one day give me a big marketing, but I think that when your business comes from genuine customer service and people are referring you, they have a friend or a family, it's like, no, go. I had one girl, she was just adamant that you're going to use her. She was telling her mom, you're going to use her. And so the mom was like, well, we have, and she convinced her mom to come to me. And it's fine if they do, and it's fine if they don't. I don't, it's not a biggie. I whatever God bless me with, I'm grateful. And I go over and beyond to make God proud of me, because that to me is who's watching everything that I do. And the only person that I can make sure that's happy, that is going to make sure I'm happy, is him. So I know he's watching when nobody else is watching. So I go over and above to make him happy.
That's wonderful. I was thinking this morning, and it's funny, we're talking about customer service and giving customer service, because I was actually thinking this morning and going to bring it up on one of my shows. So this is a perfect time frame. Back in the day, and this was probably about 2 decades, because remember, I'm old, I've been around a long time, around all the business ideology, but there was this whole thing where we would talk about customer service as a competitive advantage and going, the extra mile and all this. And I remember that was a big theme. And I was thinking this morning that given where we're at, and I think Teresa kind of mentioned it a bit in the chat, if you just simply answer the phone or call somebody back, that is, like today, exceptional customer service.
Priceless. I even give people my personal cell phone number, and they always say, why do you do that? Because I want to be accessible. And I tell them, I say, okay, if I don't answer, you can always call my office, but you have my personal cell phone number that you can reach me. And I get people that call me at 9 or 10 o'clock at night. It's okay. It's okay, because that means it's something on their mind and they need to talk to a live person, need to be answered. And I respect that. But I don't think I'll ever stop that. People say you should get a second dedicated line. We're only 9 to 5, but I don't mind what I do. And it's there, long as you answer their question, they're not calling you to talk about the weather. They're calling, to get whatever's on their chest off. And by them being able to talk to you, people are like relieved when I give them my cell phone number. I'm like, it's okay. We could,
This is another bit of priceless information, because all of us will agree and nod our heads with it. Oh my God, yes, this statement. If I say, so happy to get a live person, and the minute I say that, everybody resonates with it, right? Well, what I'm saying is, flip this on the side from you entrepreneurs as a competitive advantage. Even if and it doesn't have to be a voice, it could be just an email, right? So I think our entrepreneurship has gotten where I'm going to do it online, and it's going to be this and it's going to be that. And so we've gotten so moved away from people. You want to stand out from your biggest competitor. You don't need to get a bunch of investment. You don't have to do anything. Just get a situation where you have people email you and you answer it. It's phenomenal in success.
Yes, it is. It's priceless. Even me personally, when I'm dealing with business with people, when they don't return my call and I have to call you for days and days and days, and it's something very important to me, it's irritating, it's irritating. So,
and I think it's gotten worse since COVID, and I'm not even going to go into why, but I feel a level of frustration and just trying to find like a manufacturer because I have a broken part or something like that. And I do the same thing. I mean, I try to make sure my emails are always answered. I always tell people, if you send me an email or you contact me and I don't call back, please, I didn't get it, or, I'm dead. Because you will hear back from me. And that's why even people email Lauren when they want to have a one-on-one with me, when they meet me through the show. And I'm always saying, hey, I've returned everybody. If you didn't get returned, send it back. Lauren's quick on it. We just care to make sure people get heard. And I think that can set companies apart these days.
Yeah, absolutely. Communication is key. because when you don't communicate, the mind goes left field. And I like, people do a lot of texting now, and I tell them, just call me. It's easier for me to just talk to you and tell you, what's going on, than opposed to me trying to, I might be driving, I might be, anywhere. Would just call me. And if I can't talk, I'll call you back,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that means a lot.
And that's a good point. Like my phone goes dead. I don't have it at 7 p.m. and it's not live again until about 7:30. I can look at it, I can choose, but we can control the technology. We don't have to be a slave to it. We can control it. So we can have people that if they want to, email me or to call me at 10, well, that's okay, because I'll, respond when I can. So we don't have to be that degree. And I think the one thing that I keep saying lately is technology has changed. That's true. But the human has not. Their needs and desires have not changed.
Yeah. It's important. It's important. Priceless.
Yeah, it very much is. So believe it or not, we've been talking for almost an hour. We've got a few minutes left. So I want to say, anybody who's got any questions or comments, I'm seeing the chat because I know you guys love to use the chat as well. So throw it in there, or throw it in the Q&A for LaRuth. So we got some time for you guys to write. And LaRuth, any advice and thoughts that you can leave with our audience?
As far as the business is concerned, find something that you enjoy doing. If you're going to open a business, do something don't do it for the money. Do it because you enjoy doing it. I wake up in the morning and I enjoy being a blessing to families. When they call me, I enjoy talking to them, giving them a status update on what's going on. And to me, that's the most important thing. Don't just do something because someone else is doing it. Do it because this is what you enjoy doing.
I think that's so important. People ask me all the time, well, Lori, why do you work so much? And why do you do this? Or why do you do that? And I go, because I love it. I absolutely love what I do. And I'm very fortunate that, it's so funny, LaRuth, I have to add this, and it's something I haven't even really said much, but I just recently, and some of the people on my show know, I just recently got my enrolled agent to be a tax preparer certification from the IRS. And now I never in my entire life thought, being a CFO, I was ever going to be doing tax returns. That was not something that I was ever thinking I would do, right? But I do a lot of tax advice on simple things. And I kept thinking, well, if I knew more about it. But what came about is one day I was sitting there thinking about how much I love just working with people. And I said, there's going to come a day that maybe I won't want to do all of this heavy finance stuff. And so it's true, this story. So my little brain was thinking, I was like, well, I want to do something that maybe, people have to buy constantly, like an annuity, so I don't have to be out there selling when I'm really old, right? And then I thought, well, but I don't want to do like a product or anything. And I had this little voice that said in my head, and it said, well, the only thing people have to do is die and pay taxes. And the little voice said, I don't think I want to be a mortician. And the voice shouted, I meant taxes. And I was like, oh, I hadn't considered that. And then I looked into it and I was like, well, I don't want to be a CPA because you have to commit to a state, and I'm kind of all over the place and around the country. So then I looked up, well, I could be an EA certified by the IRS and have no borders. But yeah, that was the first thing I was like, oh, the only thing you have to do. Together, LaRuth, you and I, we got it cornered, man. We need to die and pay taxes.
I enjoy it. I like being able to be a blessing to people. That's where God put me. And so my job is to do the best I can to make him proud of me.
We got one last question from Tamara. She says, have you ever used an answering service to field calls? If so, what was your experience with it?
Absolutely. I have a 24-hour answering service. So when you call our office, you'll always get a live person. I don't have a voicemail thing, because death happens in the middle of the night most of the times. So I have a live answering service that answers the phone, and they will call me and patch me in with the call. So the answering service is like perfect for me. I only give my cell phone out if once I've made a connection with the family and they're using our service, then I give my cell phone out. But if just calling to get pricing information or what have you, you'll connect with the answering service. If it's a deaf call, they'll connect you to me, or a pricing call, they'll connect you to me. But any other just basic information, they could answer that. They're well staffed and can take care of that.
You know, that's a great question, Tamara, and an excellent answer, LaRuth. I mean, back in the days, remember I'm old, but when I was like 28 and I had my company, at the time, voicemails were not acceptable. You did not have voicemail at all within a company. And so I used an answering service at that time. And answering services are such a great addition when you need to have your phones answered and you don't need a staff to do so. And I forgot about them.
Yeah.
When you mentioned it, I thought, oh my God, I haven't even thought about answering services in so long, and they can add a great touch. You know, it almost makes me think you want to look into your business model, and if the price of an answering service might give you just the competitive advantage we were speaking about a minute ago.
It's expensive, but to me it's a lot cheaper than paying somebody just to sit at a desk and answer your phone all day.
Right.
And this is 24 hours. So whenever they, if I want to transfer the calls directly to me, I can take them, but it's like, let them answer it and they filter the calls. If it's a deaf call, they connect it to me. If it's just a, marketing call or, what have you, they can handle that and decipher which ones come to me, and it works.
What's great about it is it's another business tool. So many people throw money at social media, which may or may not work. Here's an answering service could possibly be another business tool to have you stand out. So that's great. Well, LaRuth, first of all, personally, it is just such a joy to see your smiling face again. It's been too long since I've seen you. And I want to thank you for coming on, because it gave us an opportunity to say that all companies have to deal with processes and partnerships and everything. And as I think that everybody in the audience can see, you have really structured a beautiful company offering services to people in the most stressed times of their life. And it's just been such a joy. And I can see on the chat, everybody saying, thank you, thank you, thank you. You are getting a ton of responses. They are just going crazy on having you on the show. So I'm going to turn it back to Lauren, but I can't thank you enough for being on the show today, LaRuth. It's been a fascinating show.
Thank you. I'm so grateful. Thank you.
It's funny because LaRuth, this is our first time talking, but I have a 14, almost 10 and 2. And so my husband and I have just been, trying to have those grown-up conversations. And it's a conversation that's, it makes me sad personally. And so with that though, I just feel more empowered going into the conversation or, broaching the conversation. I also liked, can you remind me, it was you said you had those who were in need because the death had occurred, those who were like planning for. Didn't you have a term for that?
Well, it's the at need, that when the death occurs, you got to make a decision. You don't have days to think about it, what to do, what did mom want. You don't have that time. That's right. At need. And then you have the pre-need, where the family has put things together. They have their stuff in a safe deposit box. Mama said something happened, this is what you do. Don't spend no money. She's already taken care of everything. So it's two different fields, and the families that have put it together is like priceless. It's like everybody's in agreement, because the kids can't fight because mama said we doing this, daddy said we doing this. So
right.
The oldest trying to take over the little one, and all done. And then also I tell people, when they have life insurance, that people always think that life insurance is the thing, but life insurance just gives the money. So you give somebody $100,000 or whatever amount, they're not going to spend it wisely.
Sure.
You have already set up for this is for the service, this is for you to live on. So don't go waste this money. This is what you do. So it just, it's a very uncomfortable topic, but it's so important.
So important. And
yeah.
that's the thing, like as a parent, you don't want your children to have to go. I mean, you're already having to deal with the loss. So that's just an added element. And like you mentioned, like
Making emotional,
typically people don't plan.
you're making
Hmm?
you're making
Yeah,
they're making emotional decisions. If
right, right.
they're not level-headed, they can't think. You don't get over a death until years. So just think you
Sure.
got to within a week's time, you just moving, just do whatever, just spend whatever. And you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
that's the generational wealth going down the drain.
Right, right, right. No, this was amazing. And then a lot of the principles you've brought up, I mean, those can be translated across industries. I'm a marketer and there are tons of principles you broached today. And I mean, I can definitely apply those. So thank you. I mean, if you look at the chat right now, I have my screen open almost the length of my computer screen, and they're like riddled with thank yous. So everyone is super appreciative.
I know that's what I was telling her. I sometimes I can't catch everything, but I just saw typing after typing after typing. And so, yeah, it's, Lauren, we just are so blessed to have great guests every single week. The reason why we've almost been here a year is because we have wonderful guests that just share everything with their heart. And it's great. It's just absolutely great. Lauren will answer where to get the recordings for you in a second. I see that. And as the last note, I have to say planning is so important. My cat has a inheritance, and when if I was to pass away before her, she goes to a rich retirement home for cats. That it just yeah.
Practice.
Because not everybody's going to want a cat, and I didn't have anybody, so I thought, well, what am I going to do? So I researched, and there are a couple homes that they can't give the cat away. They have to stay there. They got full staff, nurses, and you have to give them an inheritance. So everybody's like, what are you going to do if something happens to you? I go, don't worry, Babu's taken care of. She's got an inheritance. She's got an executor of the will that already knows. She's got money paid in the meantime. She is all set. So that's my child, and my child, because I that is set. So planning is important in everything.
Absolutely.
It is definitely,
Okay,
definitely.
well, Lauren, we're going to leave this up to you to close out. LaRuth, thank you so much. Again, you made a wonderful show and information for everybody. I'm out of here till next week. Thank you to everybody who joins the show, the frequent flyers. Check out the YouTube. I can't deal with you, Randy. I'll tell you, Randy's one of our guests from last week. I just love it. I'm so glad to see Randy as a frequent flyer too. We got so much going on, LaRuth, in the chat. It's just amazing. We got people just knowing me, and they love to comment and everything. So it's just awesome. But hey, we're already overboard. I got to get out of here. We can go on forever. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, LaRuth. See you next week, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Lori. Thank you, LaRuth. You guys have a great week. And
Blessings, ladies. Thank you.
thank you. To all of our frequent flyers, we look forward to seeing you next week, Wednesday at 10 a.m. For those of you who are new to the show, we look forward to seeing you next week at 10 a.m. And be sure to drop in and let us know what sort of topics you'd like us to cover. And with that, thank you so much. Have a great week and a wonderful weekend. Take care. Bye.